All right, we now welcome on another special guest. You love him, I love him, they love him. They love the boy, Sebastian
Uh,
Lletget. Thanks for coming on.
appreciate you guys, man. Thank you. Thank you so much.
With the recent camp, you said you had some like behind the scenes of the guy singing. I watched the video. It was just like you had like Chris Richards.
Yeah, yeah. And
Whatever.
then that was
But
like, yeah, was it back in the end of November?
yeah.
Yeah, man. Just like, cool kids. I mean, that was such a good camp because it really inspired me because I mean, I know it was just me coming from the MLS or from the domestic league, and then most of the guys over there were playing in the European teams and a lot of young guys, and there was just so much talent. And I was like, man, I was blown away by how young these guys are. And yeah, just the future really does look bright. And I think under Greg, he's going to find a way to make everybody gel, and I think the options that we have moving forward it's really cool to see.
there is a ton of young talent. I mean, it shows in like the roster too. And
Yeah, it's amazing. Even domestically, I do feel like, because it was very interesting because in November I got to be with that side of things in Europe with those guys, but then in December and January I was with the domestic guys. And man, when you mix those two groups together, I really do feel like there's a lot of quality. And so who goes in, who goes out, like that's later down the line, or that's yet to be determined. But I think we have so many games this year in the national team that you're going to see a lot of mix and matching, so this would be a good opportunity for many players.
So going back to that November camp, we just had a Big C Odunze on last week,
Oh,
actually.
nice.
Yeah, and he said that we asked him if there was like one player that kind of stood out to him, and he said that Yunus Musa was kind of that player. Was there one player for you that kind of stood out that almost surprised you? Because there was a lot of new guys that you hadn't really, I guess, seen in action before, like up close.
Yeah, there was a lot. There's a lot of guys, man. I think Eunice just because his style, he's so quick. He was definitely one because nobody really know what to expect. There's this guy that's playing for Valencia, has I believe, a U.S. passport. He's getting called in. No, he doesn't really know anybody personally. I think before that moment, and so you kind of don't even know what to really expect from him. And then certain trainings, he did some things where you're just like, man, this guy's super like quick. He can get away from people. He can kind of do it all as a midfielder. I know he's playing out wide for Valencia, but he was playing sort of more inside as a number 8 or number 10 for us. So it was like, and especially playing in that position, I was like, oh man, like this guy's got quality. So he was definitely one. I really liked Conrad. I just see a lot of potential there. Even though he like you saw little glimpses here and there, but I don't know. I just like his style. I see where his head's at, especially in training, just like as a winger. He's just very creative. I love when wingers can go inside and out. They can just they just know when to do it. And I'm sure he learned that at Barca. And yeah, I would say them too. Yeah, really, really good. Yeah, the future's bright for them for sure.
yeah. So you're saying like being an entertainer, you played probably with one of like the biggest entertainers in the game with Zlatan.
In soccer.
Yeah. So kind of now like be stepping into more of like a leadership role with Galaxy in the US. Like, what have you learned from him, like good or bad, that you kind of are like applying now to yourself as a leader?
Do you mean Ibra? No.
Zlatan,
Yeah. I mean, I always say like there's a lot of good things that you could take away from him. He has a way of being, or his characteristics that are, they can be perceived in many ways. But I did learn like, his mentality, and as far as his winning mentality, and his ruthlessness in that sense, I did appreciate, and it was contagious. And so like when you would go into a game, you'd want to, demolish the other team, even if you're winning 2-0, 3-0, you want to keep going. And I really, really love that about him. And I think now I carry that onto, doesn't matter who we play. It's like, you got to go in for the kill. And it's something that does help you. It sounds ruthless, but you should kind of have that mentality. And, and he was a showman, dude. I mean, he loved it. He loved being in front of the fans, doing the most. And he was a character.
What was he like in the locker room? Was he as like kind of does he make comments like he does to the media like in person to his teammates, or is he
He
more
does
mellowed
that time.
out?
Yeah, I think he would. He did joke a lot. Like he loved the joke, whether I mean, what was also funny from him is that he never really left anything on the field. When like maybe you guys have played and something happens, whether it's good or bad or something funny, but especially something bad or like a loss. Let's just say you play about 5v5 tournament training and you get mad in the moment, you lose, somebody messes up, you leave it on the field. But this guy would take it into the locker room, like it didn't end on the field, and so you didn't want to be that guy that kind of made that mistake, and so I mean, but a lot of the times it was funny. Sometimes it was, a little bit much, but hey, I mean that's him,
Yeah. Was he a hard trainer? Because I feel, especially with his old age, I feel like a lot of guys kind of tone it down as they get older. But was he like balls to the wall all the time?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's another thing that reminds me that I took out of how he was. He actually was a pretty good trainer as far as his ability. You like you said, he was older, and he probably couldn't cover as much ground, but he always wanted to win. Doesn't matter if it was a 5v5 tournament or a scrimmage in between us. He always wanted to score, always wanted to. And I appreciated that from him as well. Just being that age and doing all that he's done or being everywhere that he's been, to just on a Monday morning, just being super wired and, wanting to train. And I can't really remember times that he didn't train. Like, I'm sure there was times where he took like a pro day, or we call it a pro day, where, an older guy kind of, takes a day off because we've got a game maybe in 2 days, but he wants to be ready for that. And he wants to get his body just rested. And he would rarely take those. He would rarely take those, but so he was a good trainer. He was a good trainer.
So now this upcoming season, like last season, not the
Yeah.
best, like ideal, like for Galaxy. What are you guys doing? New coach coming in for you guys as well. What are your what's preparation like for that coming?
Yeah, I think this is the most I've ever been excited for a season. Last couple of years, especially after Bruce left and I got a huge injury in 2017 that I didn't even know if I was going to come back from, and so kind of building up to this point, this is definitely the most excited that I've been. New coach. I've heard a lot of good things. I've done my rounds as far as asking around guys that have played under him, and it's been nothing but good things, to be honest. So I'm excited to see with that, to work under him and see how he does things and see how he wants to line up and the system that we want to play. And we've never really had a system, an identity since I've been here. I'm sure, when Bruce was here, maybe like in his championship years, I think one thing that he did well was, make the locker room a family, and manage the group. And I think since he left, we just never really had that. And so, and you can see it, the proof is in the pudding. Like I always say, like you can see when it seems like clicking, and maybe it's not always going to be the best on the field stuff, but you can see that they're fighting for each other. And we've had glimpses, right? We've had glimpses, but it's never been on a consistent level. So I think if we get, those things right and we build a culture again, I think you'll see the best of the Galaxy.
I know. I saw the Richards one. He was like, nobody was.
That's the worst. Yeah, that's the worst. I asked him permission if I could post that. He was so super fine with it. But yeah, he was. What was it? I think it was like Hotline. I think it was Hotline.
Yeah, I think it was Hotline Bling. I think.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was safe to say it was a disaster, but it was hilarious. Like you sort of let him just. You let him alone up there, and then you kind of just like you give him. I don't know about shit, but you give him shit after.
Yeah, you got to. That's part of it. That's part of it.
It's part of it. It's part of it. It's all. It's like I said. It's initiation.
All right. So the next one comes from Teflon. He or she says, with the success of younger players in Europe, do you feel pressure to go try Europe again?
Yeah, I think it's definitely been an ongoing conversation between like me and my team as far as like agent management, in my family. It's something that, I know I started there, but I came here because there was opportunity, and sort of tried to maximize as much as I could, especially at that time. And looking at this point, I'm like, I feel like I can really do it. I feel like it's a total possibility. So it's something we are working on, to be honest. And, if the right opportunity presents itself, I think I'd definitely entertain that idea.
All right. Yeah, this question's from me. I'm curious, did you ever get to play with Steven Gerrard?
I
At
did.
Galaxy?
I
You
did.
did?
Yeah, I
Okay.
saw your jersey behind him, or his jersey behind him. I was like, man, what a legend.
Yeah. All right. So this is not including US national team. Who was the best player you played with at LA Galaxy in your time there? Because you played with some pretty big names.
Yeah, I played with like Nigel DeYoung, Ashley, Stevie. Oh man, that's tough. I think as far as somebody I was really shocked to play with was probably Steven Gerrard. He was just everything he represented, like being at a place like Liverpool for as long as he did, leading, like being the captain, and then kind of, being the first team to, like, I remember the first day of training, just the media coverage behind it, and everything he represents, man. And he was a gentleman. He was a really good teammate. Yeah, I'm gonna say, like, I think he was just coming to the end of his, the tail end of his career. So you couldn't really, as much as his brain worked at crazy levels, his body, I don't think, could work at that same level. And I mean, it happens to everybody when you reach a certain age. And but as far as, like, you can tell when you played with him where his head was, and that was the most, like, fascinating part about it.
And
So
he
I would
played a
say,
similar position to you. Did you like pick anything up off him, or some like modeling?
Yeah, I mean, we got to play together a good amount of times in midfield, and I think, I think what resonated with me was his leadership, but more by example, as opposed to being, some. Of course, he, like, yelled and organized, but as far as, like, you could just feel his aura, and he just led by, he would, like, be vocal by his body language, like just by how he, got into a tackle, how he passed the ball, how he sent messages like that. I really, like, captured my attention, and that, that was a pleasure, man. Like, that was a really good experience.
All right, before we wrap it up, you want to plug your YouTube channel or your TikTok or whatever, so everyone go check it out?
I mean, it's kind of all the same, but follow me on Instagram. They Love the Boy. I think on TikTok it's They Love the Boy 17. And yeah, just look me up on my YouTube, Sebastian Lletget, and hopefully you like my content, man. I'll definitely do my best to provide.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, dude. That was fun.